Welcome to episode number 5 of Locker Talk, the show everything WWE, past, present, and future. I am your host, Koltyn, the host who knows the most. As always, by my side is Matt, the main event. This week's show, we have a bunch of different topics, all pertaining with this year's WrestleMania. But first, I want to give a shout out to the star of the week for me, and that is one Alex Riley. If you watched NXT this week, you saw Alex Riley make his return to the ring, and man, he looked great. I'm super excited for Alex Riley. If you haven't had a chance, go watch the match, and more importantly, go watch his interview after the match. It's really amazing. He shows pure emotion. You can see he's visibly holding back tears. He's been crying. He's so excited to be back in the ring. I'm really proud of this guy. So Matt, I know for the first time ever we've had some actual viewer questions. And so Matt, why don't you lead us into that first topic?
That is right. I was excited. First ever fan interactions with questions for the show. The first question we're going to go over here was asked by our very own number one fan, Daniel Farmer, which is who are our favorite past mid-card wrestlers? And there's a lot of them for me personally because I love the mid-card division. I love the mid-card division. It's great. So, but I'm going to kick it off right now with some failed tag teams that I think really had some opportunities to go. I'm going to kick it off with Deuce and Domino for those younger fans out there. For those younger fans out there, back in about 2006, 2005, something like that, there were these two guys that came out with their Diva Cherry. They came out in leather jackets. They were 50s greaser guys, just tough guys, you know, and they could have been great tough guys, you know. They were fun to watch, especially on SmackDown. SmackDown, you know, didn't have a lot of fun stuff to watch. Booked correctly, I think they could have been great, but what I personally don't get is if you go to WWE.com and you go to the WWE alumni, Cherry is actually under the alumni, but Deuce and Domino are not. Even though Deuce and Domino are the ones that held the tag team championships and Cherry did nothing.
She's prettier.
She is. Going on to another one that I really missed were the Mexicools. And once again, for you younger fans out there, the Mexicools were 3 Mexicans. They came out in lawnmowers. Once again, we'd like to assure the WWE universe out there listening to us that we in no shape or form feel that the WWE universe is racist. But once again, Mexicans coming out on lawnmowers to Mexican music, and so they came out, and they would have some really good matches. They were ECW originals originally, and they had fun matches. They were cool. They were fun. They did not invoke at all the Freebird rule, as my co-host Koltyn alluded to 2 episodes ago.
Did they ever win the title?
They should have. I think twice they held the WWE Tag Team titles.
Okay.
Over on SmackDown, they were friends of Mysterio and such. They were fun to watch. High flyers, super crazy, all that stuff. Koltyn, do you have any mid-cards you'd like to discuss?
Yeah, I've got a fair few, as I know you do. Not sure how you're going to feel about some of these mid-card guys. It might step on your toes a little bit. But my first one is Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy is potentially one of the great mid-carders of all time. I know you will object to me calling him a mid-carder, but the fact is he never won the WWE title. He never won the World Heavyweight title, and I don't consider the ECW title in its reincarnation as being a major title at the time. But, you know, with Matt and Jeff Hardy, they were able to have great matches, and I thought as a singles competitor, he definitely elevated his game. He had some great feuds with Edge, which had that real life feel to it because it was real life. Another one is, as I've called before on my own, as the greatest British athlete of all time, William Regal. That's not a bash on England. It's just a talking about how good that William Regal is. I never really appreciated him during his time, but since he's gone away from the wrestling a little bit, I feel like I appreciate him a lot more than I did back then. He's just a really tough guy and a great worker. I remember a match he had with Rob Van Dam at WrestleMania, and he just suplexes Van Dam, and Van Dam lands right on his neck, and you just know that had to hurt like you know what. And yeah, Matt, what else you got? I know you've got a big list there. Who else made your list?
Quick note on that Matt Hardy thing. When Matt Hardy used to wrestle, actually, the commentators used to call him a main event waiting to happen. And we are still actually waiting for that to happen.
Hey, he's main eventing all these indies, so I feel like he's done pretty good for himself.
He is. Moving right along, I'm going to go over Mr. Kennedy. Mr. Kennedy was great in the WWE. He beat not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, but over five. Not exactly sure how many, but over five former world heavyweight champions in his day. And he was actually, arguably, one of the biggest botches WWE ever had, because he had the Money in the Bank briefcase. He was on the push of a lifetime. If you guys, once again, you younger fans might not realize. But back in the day, he beat all these guys. The announcers going crazy. He just beat a former world heavyweight champion. He won the briefcase. And then Hornswoggle happened. Because Finley had Hornswoggle. JBL wanted Hornswoggle. And then it was announced that Mr. McMahon was the son of Bastard Hornswoggle. Then Mr. Kennedy lost his briefcase. And he was overshadowed, and that was one of the biggest botches WWE had, because Mr. Kennedy could have been one of those main eventers we're watching right now, face Rollins and Reigns and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that might have to do a little bit with some backstage politicking. That's obviously been rumored, but we're not going to go into any of that, as it's just rumors, can't be proven, but I think that had to do a lot of it to do with it.
Another one of mine is Finley, an old Irish guy that loves to fight. Who wants to see that, right? I do. I want to see that, because he was great. Obviously, we got as much as we possibly could out of him, because I'm not sure of his exact age when he entered the WWE. He was old. I think it was late 30s, maybe early 40s, something like that. But he was really good, and we got the good years out of him. He was fun to watch. He went downhill drastically when Hornswoggle was entered in, but we got to see a great match. Hornswoggle and Finley against Boogeyman and Little Boogeyman. That was one of the best tag team matches of all time. Back to you, Koltyn.
All right, Matt. I've just got a few more that I want to talk about here. The first one, John Morrison. This guy is just ripped. Like, everyone wants to look like John Morrison. He's like an older Tyler Breeze, which I've made mention of several times, but they're both great. But regardless, John Morrison, he had some great matches. He was never quite that top guy. He was always the kind of guy like a Kofi Kingston, who they would sort of put in a top spot when they needed a bunch of guys, for example, like an Elimination Chamber type of match. Who could carry his own and have a good match, but inevitably you knew he wasn't going to win the title. I remember he had a great match with The Miz on Raw. I know that's shocking to say. Anything that The Miz did was great. But John Morrison was a great competitor, and apparently he's doing some great stuff down there in Lucha Underground. To give them a nice little plug. I'm sure they don't really need us. Also, another thing, Matt, I find it funny you keep talking about our younger fans, when I wasn't really sure we had any fans, except for Farmer. But, that's okay. We do appreciate the few fans we have, and I'm sure that number will increase as you guys see how awesome that we are. Either way, I'm sorry, that's a bit of a soapbox. But my next guy, to me, is probably one of the greatest mid-card guys of all time. A man who has gone way before his time. We're going back a little farther here with Owen Hart, the younger Hart brother. Owen was never in the big matches for the titles. He faced his brother Bret. He faced Shawn Michaels. He faced Stone Cold Steve Austin. But he was never really given that big push. And unfortunately, he was taken from us way too soon. And I feel like he definitely could have been a main event guy, given the chance, and if he had lived a little bit longer. But my very last guy here is Jeff Jarrett. Why? Because he is JEFFJARRETT. All right, back to you, Matt.
All right, well, I have 3 left here. One of them, most of you know as Viscera.
Big Vis.
I like to remember Viscera as Big Daddy V. Some of you might think that V stands for Viagra, but that's just speculation. Big Daddy V was fun to watch. I mean, you had all that power. Without this, the sexual weirdness of Viscera, it was fun to watch him wrestle. Another one of my guys here is good old Shelton Benjamin. Now, I've heard on the Twitter sphere that some people think that Shelton Benjamin is overrated. I do agree to an extent that I feel that most of us now over-exaggerate his athleticism and greatness. He was a great athlete, yes. But, I mean, he wasn't Superman. I feel, once again, I don't feel like the WWE is racist. I do not feel that they are. I feel, though, that they misuse a lot of their African-American and other racial people. Like, Shelton Benjamin should have been a world heavyweight champion in his time. Just like Kofi Kingston 3 years ago, Mark Henry 4 years ago. They just misuse them. And we can obviously see that throughout the years. They misuse a lot of people. But Shelton Benjamin was a great Intercontinental champion. He was a great mid-card guy. He was a great guy, as Koltyn said. If you needed more people, you could throw him in. And if he could obviously turn a 4-star match into a 5-star match with his great athleticism. And I'm sorry, I have 2 left here, and then I'll hurry up here. One of the last ones is Carlito. And Carlito was fun to watch, but from what we know of him and what WWE's released, he was very lazy. He didn't want to do a whole lot in the ring, and which was great because what we did see him do was great athleticism. Imagine what he could do if his focus was on the ring and on the title and on bettering himself. He greatly overshadowed Chris Masters, his tag team partner for about a year. And then my last one is Tajiri. I personally love Tajiri. I love his kicks. I love everything about him. He's an ECW original. He was fun to watch. He was great, but I mean, he, like Finlay, was also getting older. So guys on my list like Finlay, Tajiri, I mean, they ran their course. It's not like they never got misused. They just came to the WWE at an older age. And we got what we got out of them. So that is our favorite old mid-carders. I will shoot it back to Koltyn for our other fan question.
Yeah, our next question comes from, who would have guessed, Farmer again. And Farmer wants to know who we think needs a new finisher in professional wrestling in the WWE. Now, Matt, I feel like Matt and we took this question a little bit differently. And I know you kind of went more of maybe they have a good one, but it can be better. I kind of went the route of I just don't like their finishing move. It doesn't seem effective to me. But I want to start off with a couple guys. My first one is potentially controversial as he has a big match coming up on WrestleMania, and that is the Scorpion Death Drop of Sting. Mind you, back in the heyday of WCW when Sting was at the top of his game, this was a great finisher. But to me, when he did it on Triple H, it just didn't have that that pizzazz, that charisma that a great finishing move should have. It was just a reverse DDT that didn't really look like that big of a fall, you know? He was falling from 4 feet off the ground. It didn't seem to me to be that impressive. And so I know it's not going to happen. It's a proven winner, but I'm just not really a big fan of it. My second choice would be to someone I alluded to earlier, Tyler Breeze's beauty shot. Essentially, this is just a spinning heel kick, and while it is, like everything he does, beautiful, it's just that. It's just a spinning heel kick. Eric Rowan does it, which I think looks a lot cooler because he's so much bigger. Matt, do you have a couple people that you thought need a new finishing move?
I do. I have Rusev on here because I feel that he needs a non-submission finishing move
Definitely.
to be a well-rounded person. I feel like if he gets a good power finishing move, I could take him more seriously in a match where it could just strike at any moment. Also, Luke Harper, he has his little thing where he like spins around, does a clothesline. He should take a page out of JBL's notebook here and use the clothesline from hell. He would do great with that.
Yeah.
And then also, the Usos need a good finishing move because they're the only tag team right now besides the Ascension that you can't split up. All these other teams you can split up here, there, and have good singles matches. The Usos you can't split them up. They'll never be split up because they can't have a singles career. So they need a good, solid tag team finishing move.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I also have some people who are a little bit older, not wrestling anymore, who I just don't really like their finishing move. I like this first guy especially. I like this guy, Christian, the kill switch as his finisher. I don't think I've ever seen a finisher which has been countered more than the kill switch. There's really no way to keep hold of the guy when you're facing away from him and just holding onto his arms. It just doesn't seem to me to be that great. And I know this is a current guy, Matt, and you might get a little bit mad at me for poking your guy, but Dean Ambrose needs a new finishing move to me. And Dirty Deeds, it's a double arm underhook DDT. It's the finishing move that Mick Foley used as Mankind, other than the Mandible Claw. And to me, I like Dean Ambrose's original Dirty Deeds, where he basically grabs the guy's head and just pushes it down on the mat as hard as he can. That seemed to be a little more effective. It hit the guy right on top of his head. And so to me, I think Dean Ambrose needs a new finishing move. And going along with what I said earlier about the older wrestlers needing a new move, I think basically all of the 1980s needs a new finishing move. Like, by today's standards, there's no explosion, like I said earlier with Sting. There's no charisma involved. You know, the Ultimate Warrior splash, I don't see it. He just jumps on the guy, and he doesn't get any air. I don't buy it. Now, when I was doing research for this question, I came upon a quote that I just found to be absolutely hilarious, talking about Hulk Hogan. And basically what it said was Hulk Hogan finishing a match with a leg drop is like Beethoven finishing his Ninth Symphony with a Nickelback cover. And I completely agree with that. It's just a leg drop. People do it all the time. And that's kind of my views on it. And my last one is another NXT guy, and I just feel like this is the worst finishing move in wrestling. Mojo Rawley is always hyped up, and his finishing move, the Hyperdrive, is just... I can't even explain to you how bad I think this is. Basically, if you haven't seen it, what he does, he bounces off the rope, and he jumps and sits on the guy's stomach. Kind of like what Yokozuna would do, except Yokozuna weighs about 400 pounds more than Mojo Rawley. And so I just can't buy this move at all. It is I just don't see how it's a finisher. But that's kind of my list, Matt. I know you've got a few more, so why don't you finish this one off?
Yeah, I also have Eric Rowan on my list because I feel like Eric Rowan needs something explosive, something that shows off that he's big, strong, powerful, like something, power bomb maybe or something like that. It doesn't have to be super original, but it could be a generic, but just explosive power move. And then I also feel like Cesaro Kid, for the time being, needs a finishing move because you have a strong man and you have a high flyer. That's some good stuff. That's a good recipe for a great finishing move. I feel if they put their heads together and they do that, they can come up with a really good finishing move that will put their opponents away at a faster pace. On our next topic is this Divas match that has been announced for WrestleMania. It's going to be a tag team match with AJ Lee and Paige versus the Bella Twins. Do you have anything to say about this, Koltyn?
Not really. I'm glad to see AJ's back. I'm glad she gets a match at WrestleMania as well as Paige. The only thought that I saw everyone was talking about on the internet, would you rather see this match as a fatal four-way for the Divas title? Personally, I feel like it would work definitely that way, but they obviously didn't build it that way, and so the way they built it up, I feel like this is going to be an adequate Divas match. I feel like it'll probably get a little bit of time, not as much as everyone would like, but I feel like it should be a fairly good match. They definitely didn't set up very well for the idea of having Brie Bella in a fatal four-way match for the title against her sister, and so, yeah, it's just kind of a Divas match. I'm not really excited about it, but what do you think about that? Would you rather have it be a fatal four-way, or are you good with the tag title? For the tag match, sorry.
I would rather have it be a fatal four-way, obviously, but I'm upset because we're going to have, in the tag team match, we're going to have the two best Divas wrestlers on the same team. We're not even going to see the two best Divas wrestlers go up against each other. It would be great to watch them fight each other. I feel like at some point, if they win, maybe they will fight, but it'll be brief. Obviously, we'd all want to see the title go up because it's WrestleMania. We all want to see titles change hands, titles on the line, stuff like that.
Definitely.
But it's going to be, for what it is with the Divas match, it's going to be decent. At least we're not going to see like a Divas lumberjack match like we normally see and stuff like that. It'll be decent.
Yeah, all right. Our next match is the second annual Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. We don't know a lot about this match, but the thing we do know, Zack Ryder is going to win the match. He's going to eliminate Adam Rose, and he's going to win the match. I'm calling it now. Matt, you can't disagree with me. What do you think about this match?
I mean, it's basically just Zack Ryder against a bunch of jobbers at this point.
That's my thoughts.
Moving on to our next topic, because obviously Zack Ryder is going to win this. It's going to be Triple H versus Sting. WCW versus WWE. This match is going to be straight legendary. Sting is older, yes. He still has a little bit in the tank. Triple H is older, but he has a lot left in the tank. From what I've heard, both of them are training 2 times a day, daily. It's going to be a great match. It's going to be, unlike what we think, it's going to be highly athletic, I'm pretty sure. What I'm not sure is who's going to win. And I'm about 83% sure Sting's going to win this one. Triple H is going to do the fall. I do not agree with that, however. I feel like doing that, it's like saying, all right, yeah, the last living part of WCW still beats WWE. I feel like Triple H should win this one in a close match with a classic pedigree. to prove once and for all WWE is the classic compared to WCW.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that it would look bad if WCW actually beat WWE in something. But I don't see a point in bringing Sting in and building this great match for him to lose. It doesn't make any sense to me for Sting to lose his match. I think he definitely has this one. I agree, it should be a great match. I know a lot of people are complaining about the promo they did for Sting. Some people are saying that it wasn't Sting's voice. I was one of those people. It did not sound like Sting's voice at all, which I understand why they did that. You know, Sting isn't a guy who talks a lot, and so they want to keep that shrouded in mystery. But from the two reports that I saw online, one was that they changed the pitch and it actually was Sting's voice. And another one I heard was a little different, was that it was Dolph Ziggler who was doing the promo, which I didn't really hear at first, but I haven't had a chance to go back and listen to it. So, yeah, it seems a little weird that they had his voice be like that, especially with what the voice was. It didn't sound very intimidating to me, but that's really a moot point. Our next matchup here for WrestleMania is John Cena versus Rusev for the U.S. Championship. John Cena was finally able to get a match against Rusev at Raw. And I like this match. I know everyone hates Cena, and I feel like that'll be a topic we will discuss on a later show. But I like the passion we're seeing from John Cena. It's obviously gotten him the best crowd reaction he's gotten in several years, where he's just doing whatever it takes to beat the crap out of Rusev. What brought John Cena into the WWE was this idea of Vince McMahon of ruthless aggression, and we're definitely seeing that from John Cena, and I'm glad we're seeing that. I feel like he's definitely going to do a great job of putting Rusev over for this WrestleMania match. Everything points to Cena winning, but I can definitely see where they would have Rusev beat him again. But yeah, Matt, what do you think on this one?
It's a hard match to pick, really. Cena's on the downhill side of his career, obviously.
Definitely.
It's just a question of will they let Rusev do it twice and push him over? Will Cena hold him back? Will a loss for Rusev end his push? All this other stuff.
Good question.
It's a difficult task to pick one. I honestly can't even do like a 51% one way. But if I had to, I'd go with Rusev winning it, pushing him over all the way, because Cena's at that point right now where it's not necessarily jobbing. I mean, we've seen Shawn Michaels, we've seen Triple H, we've seen all these guys, legends do this, and it's just they pay homage to the next generation, basically. So on to our next topic here. It's the future versus the present in Rollins versus Orton. This is going to be a great match because Orton is fired up. He's well rested against Rollins, who is a great athlete, who is very gifted. It's going to be a great match. This match, I feel, is going to be given a lot of time. Probably the second or third most amount of time out of any match in WrestleMania right now. The hard question, once again, is who's going to win this match? You have the future, which is Rollins, which obviously they want to push. They want Rollins to be the star child of WWE. Or do you give it to Orton and say, all right, have Rollins have a great match, but not quite yet? For this, personally, I want to see Orton win because I want to see the Viper, the Apex Predator come out. I want to have a great match and however long down the match, I want to see it in his eyes. The moment when Rollins put Orton out for all those months, I want to see it in his eyes when Orton lines Rollins up to punch him in the head, just like he did to so many people. I want to see that. As a WWE fan, I'd be fired up to see that. I wouldn't be as fired up to see Rollins win, because it's like corporate winning that one, and we never want to see that happen. How do you feel, Koltyn?
I agree. I think this has a chance to steal the show. These guys are both able to put on great matches. They're both athletic guys. And I just really like this matchup. However, I'm not sure on Monday Night Raw, as you obviously saw this past week, Orton finally turned on Seth Rollins and proceeded to beat him down like as a good friend of mine, as I'll say, beat him like a government mule. Now, I question whether they should have shown all that. It seems to me almost like Orton already got his retribution on Raw. He put Rollins through the table with the RKO. He beat him up. Rollins was carried out on the stretcher. So it almost seems like they kind of deflated the rivalry a little bit. So I'm interested to see how they are able to continue to amp this up all the way up until Mania. But yeah, I think this should just be a classic match between these two guys. Obviously, you don't need to have Rollins win to put him over in this match. I think Orton can do a great job of putting him over. WrestleMania, I feel like for the most part, they try to, for the most part, have the good guy win the match, but I think that Seth Rollins finds a way to pull a rabbit out of his hat and is able to beat Randy Orton in an absolute classic match. And now we move on to what I assume to be the main event of the show. Brock Lesnar against Roman Reigns. This is one of these things where I'm not really sure about. I feel like lately they've done a lot of great things building up with matches and a lot of things that aren't great. With Paul Heyman giving all these A-plus promos, it's obviously doing a great job. But to me, the fact that Reigns, maybe Rollins will be in the match, who knows, he still has that Money in the Bank contract. Lesnar and Reigns haven't even been face-to-face except for the one instance at the Snowed-In Raw. They had no physical contact. They haven't looked at each other. They haven't been in the ring at the same time. I don't know if that's going to change before WrestleMania, but I feel like I need to see them go at it a little bit before they get to the match. And I don't know if that's going to happen. I believe Lesnar only has one or maybe two more appearances on his contract left before WrestleMania. And another big question for me is with the question of Lesnar staying or going to UFC, that is and with the problems that he's reportedly had with Vince McMahon, is he going to put Lesnar or is he going to put Reigns over? You know, is he just going to sandbag him and make Reigns look really bad? I don't think that's going to happen. I think that Lesnar's going to be a professional, and whether or not he comes back is obviously completely up to him. I'm not a huge fan of Lesnar, so I hope he does really well in the UFC. But I think that Reigns has a shining moment. Reigns needs to have a fantastic match here. He needs to beat the crap out of Lesnar. He needs to match Lesnar punch for punch so people believe that he should be the champion. And so I think this has a chance also to be a great match, and I think Reigns is going to take this one.
I agree with Koltyn 100%. I don't see the passion. I don't feel the hatred for each other. I mean, we know the hatred for Rollins and Orton and all these other people because we see it. I mean, Lesnar, Reigns, they need to see each other. They need to have those stare downs. They need to, like, beat each other into the crowd. They need to end Raw that way. Like, we need to know these two guys mean business. And we know that Reigns now can do a long match. We saw it with Daniel Bryan at Fastlane, where he can hold his own. I mean, he can do a good match, a long match. Lesnar, I feel, cannot do a long, good wrestling match anymore. We saw that at the Royal Rumble, where, I mean, all he did was beat up some people. His acting wasn't good when he was being beat up. He laid down on the broken table for a good chunk while Cena and Rollins put on a great show. I feel like Reigns, if anything, will have to carry the match a decent amount, which I know is asking a lot from a new superstar. But overall, I feel like Reigns is going to win it here. I feel like they've been pushing him down our throats. I feel like the fans are finally starting to see Reigns as like, all right, hey, this is our guy now. Let's get behind him. They're realizing Reigns or Lesnar, and they're making the right decision to get behind Reigns right now. The WWE is going to be a much better place if Reigns wins it, because we're going to have a champion every single night. We're going to have a champion that's going to accept challenges from anybody. It's just going to be a better Monday night, I feel, and Reigns will win it.
Sure.
Which brings us to the moment you've all been waiting for. The Intercontinental Championship match. The ladder match featuring all the loose ends. This is going to be a great match. And now, before I start off, and before we just bashed Lesnar pretty good, because he came in and won the championship he's not there and everything. And I'm going to make a case for someone who really isn't there. I know it goes against everything I believe in, but I would love to see Chris Jericho in this match.
Okay.
He only does the live events, which is cool and whatnot. But I'd love to see him in it. Maybe replace. I'm not sure if Stardust is going to be in this match or not. I feel like he is, because
He's
been
officially
in
into the match, yes.
Yeah. I feel like Chris Jericho should replace Stardust with being in there, because Chris Jericho is a great ladder match person. He's one of the last true living legends of the ladder match we have in there. But this match is going to be great. It's just going to be fantastic for everyone, really, because who doesn't love a ladder match? Especially one with Dolph Ziggler, Daniel Bryan, for some reason Luke Harper. It's going to be great. I strongly don't believe Bad News Barrett's going to walk out of this match, mainly because I don't see him climbing a ladder for anything, really. He just doesn't seem like it's like those matches back in the day where you put, like, Mark Henry in the Money in the Bank ladder match. Do they even make ladders strong enough for that?
Well, R-Truth is afraid of heights, so I don't think he has a good chance either.
I feel like R-Truth is going to be a real MVP in this match. He's gonna be the kind of person that is not gonna win, but he's gonna put his body on the line time and time again. And you gotta appreciate those guys for what they do there. But really, the winner, I feel like you'd have to look at either Dean Ambrose or Dolph Ziggler here. Because Dean Ambrose, obviously WWE realizes they're a bad move away from burying him completely, and people love Dolph Ziggler. Daniel Bryan's just in this because they had nothing better for him to do that day. But he's going to do good. Honestly, I don't see him meshing that well with a lot of these guys, but he's a natural wrestler, so that will help him out greatly in this match. But at the end of the day, I feel like Dean Ambrose walks out the champion either because he got it down from the ladder or because he beat up whoever won and took it.
Yeah, I think this has definitely been the most fun build-up to a WrestleMania match we've had this year. A lot of people don't like the whole title bouncing around thing, but I think it's a lot of fun. A lot of people don't like R-Truth on commentary, but I think it's a little bit of fun, to have him out there talking with JB Izzle and all that kind of thing. There's definitely a lot of points that we can talk about with this match. The whole gamut. I feel like they might have overdone it a little bit with adding Stardust into the mix. I feel like that was one too many guys, but they had nothing else to do with him after they dissolved his feud with Goldust. But all these guys have proven that they can wrestle a good match. What I'm most excited about is the fact that this is a ladder match. So this match has to be given time. You can't do a ladder match in 5 minutes. And so I'm just really happy that all of these hardworking guys are getting the time that they deserve on WrestleMania to shine. You know, as we saw at an earlier pay-per-view at TLC, Dolph Ziggler and Luke Harper stole the show in a ladder match. I'm really excited to see that. The only thing I don't like about this, I don't like how they're booking Bad News Barrett. I'm a big fan of Bad News Barrett. I know you are as well. And I don't think I've ever seen an Intercontinental Champion lose this much going into WrestleMania every week. He hasn't won a match in the past month on Raw. And so I would have liked to have at least seen him win a match at some point during this whole time. I liked what they did a little bit with him on Raw, where he kind of came in and just beat some guys up to get his title back. But R-Truth pulling another R-Truth and sneaking away with the title. I don't know, this match is hard to pick. When we started off, when it was just Dean Ambrose against Bad News Barrett, I said for sure Dean Ambrose is going to walk out of WrestleMania with the championship. And now I'm not so sure. I feel like Ambrose is one of the top guys. I feel like Ziggler as well, like you said, is one of the top guys with the best chance to win the match. I also feel like that, going against what you said, I feel like Bad News Barrett could win the match. Just the fact that they have been putting him down so much that he might finally get retribution against all these guys for stealing his title. You know, R-Truth is just in there to, for some reason, I don't know why they have R-Truth in it, but I've been enjoying it, and so I look forward to that part. Luke Harper isn't going to win it, although he puts the classic big guy in a ladder match aspect to it, and I think that'll be fun as well. Daniel Bryan, as a lot of people say, is above this title, but I think it could be fun to see him win it, but I don't think he will. I'm just really, really hoping that we get this moment, as I alluded to on Twitter, which you should follow us at WWE Locker Talk, of in the middle of the ring, you have Dolph Ziggler and you have Daniel Bryan face to face. The crowd is going crazy for the match that they wanted to happen, and you just see the two go at it while everyone else is laid out. I think it should happen. I think it will happen. It will be a great spot in the match. If I am forced to pick a winner here, I think I will agree with you. I will say Dean Ambrose finally wins a match on a pay-per-view. He walks away with the title, and is definitely deservedly so. Now, Matt, I think that's all the Mania matches we're going to talk about. If you notice, we did not talk about Bray Wyatt and The Undertaker. We alluded to that a little bit on a previous show, but we didn't really want to go into it. We might go into it a little bit more at a later show, but to be honest, we just don't want to talk about it, and it's our show. We can do whatever we want. Because we are the best. We are WWE Locker Talk. So, Matt, do you have anything else?
I have a couple announcements, as always.
Some announcements. Let's go.
I'd like to shout out two new fans, two new loyal fans.
We have two new fans.
One that hounds me every time he wants to see a new one, and that is good old Andy Husted. Hounds me every time I go into work. He wants a new one. He wants it. He's hungry for them. The other one is the older brother to our number one fan, Michael Farmer. As he has watched all of our episodes, he'll spend a day to catch up on them. That's dedication. Glad you two are watching the show. Love your dedication.
We need to get some fans that don't know us personally.
Yeah, maybe that would be fun. That would be fun.
I mean, if you like our show, just, give us a mention. Tweet about it, maybe, if you like it. Hey, even if you don't like it, tell people how terrible this show is. They need to go watch it and see how terrible it is.
Laugh at us. We don't care.
Yeah, we know we're laughable, so go for it.
But we do have international fans. We go international, so
that we do.
Keep that in mind. All right. Also, as always, you'll expect our next show, Andy, next Saturday. It'll be released from today, around 6 or 7 o'clock. Yeah. We have not decided on a topic. So we await your guys' tweets and comments and emails, maybe giving us our next topic. Who knows? You
And
decide.
if you don't tell us what we're going to talk about, we're going to talk about John Cena for an entire episode. Do you really want that to happen? So send us an email, tweet us at WWE Locker Talk, subscribe to our channel here to watch more, leave a comment right down there, whatever it takes. Contact us. Tell us what you want to hear. This is all about the fans, all 6 of you now. And once again, we want to be here to give you guys the best show possible. And we will do whatever it takes to give you that.
Do you have anything to add?
No, I think it's that time that we get to our hashtag of the week. So, Matt, what is our hashtag of the week? I know you forgot to think of one. What is it?
Our hashtag of the week is... It is Believe That, brother. Not the brother, just believe that. But believe it.
Woo, woo, woo.
You know it.